My name is Kıdırbekowai L.Z. I am a teacher of English. Good morning, students. How are you today? Our new theme of the lesson is sport and football in Great Britain. The aims of the lesson to know about popular sport in England and the history of football, active photos and words, to develop their reading, speaking skills and literacy, and last is their combinations. Okay, my dear students, let's check the homework. Answer these questions, please. The first question: how do the British celebrate traditional and religious holidays? Next question: what is the most popular food in Britain? Next question is: what is the British was like? Next question is: what is the oldest university in Britain? Last question is: what are the origins of the names of the main political parties? Okay, dear my students, let's read these proverbs together. All sports for all people. The ball always looks for the best player. Sports should always be fun. Sport is the preserver of health. New words of the text: important, snooker, steepleches, racing, dart, root game, invent, shepherd, tournament, enthusiastic, regatta. My dear students, let's watch the video about history of football.
Football, or soccer as the game is called in some parts of the world, has a long history. Football, in its current form, arose in England in the middle of 19th century. But alternative versions of the game existed much earlier and are a part of the football history. The game dates back to the Mesoamerican culture, played with a rock some 3,000 years ago, followed with kuzoo, where a ball was used for kicking in China. Various forms of the game were played in various countries, but the present form of the game developed in England in the 12th century. In this century, games that resembled football were played on meadows and roads in England. Besides from kicks, the game involved also punches of the ball with the fist. This early form of football was also much rougher and more violent than the modern way of playing. An important feature of the forerunners to football was that the games involved plenty of people and took place over large areas in towns. An equivalent was played in Florence from the 16th century, where it was called calcio. The rampage of these games would cause damage to the town and even death. These would be among the reasons for the proclamations against the game that finally was forbidden for several centuries. It took, however, long time until the features of today's football had been taken into practice. For a long time, there was no clear distinction between football and rugby. There were also many variations concerning the size of the ball, the number of players, and the length of a match. A game was often played in schools, and two of the predominant schools were Rugby and Eton. At rugby, the rules included the possibility to take up the ball with the hands, and the game we today know as rugby has its origin from here. At Eton, on the other hand, the ball was played exclusively with the feet, and this game can be seen as a close predecessor of the modern football. The game in rugby was called the running game, while the game in Eton was called the dribbling game. Proper rules for the game were decided at a meeting in Cambridge in 1848. The first football association was formed in 1863. This also led to a standardization of a size and weight of the ball, and also divided the game into two codes: association football and rugby. The game would continue to develop for a long time, and there was still much flexibility concerning the rules. For one thing, the number of players on the pitch could vary. Neither was uniform used to distinguish the appearance of the teams. It was also common with players wearing caps. The header was yet to be a part of the game. Another important difference at this stage could be noticed between English and Scottish teams. Whereas the English teams preferred to run forward with the ball in a more rugby fashion, the Scottish chose to pass the ball between their players. It could be the Scottish approach that soon became predominant. The sport was at first an entertainment for the British working class. Unprecedented number of spectators, up to 30,000, could be seen in some of the matches in the late 19th century. The game was soon expanded by British people that travelled to other parts of the world, especially in South America and India. The interest in football became big. Football clubs have existed since the 15th century, but unorganized and without official status. It is therefore hard to decide when the first football club started. Some historians suggest that it was the football club formed in 1824 in Edinburgh. Earlier, clubs were often formed by former school students, and the first of this kind was formed in Sheffield in 1855. The oldest among professional football clubs is the English club. Notts County was formed in 1862 and still exists today. An important step for the emergence of teams was the industrialization that led to larger groups of people meeting at places such as factories, pubs, and churches. In bigger cities, football teams were established and the new railroads could bring them to other cities. In the beginning, football was dominant by public school teams, but later, teams consisting of workers made up the majority of those. Another change was successively taking place when some clubs became willing to pay the best players to join their team. This was the start of professional football. Slowly, tickets for the games were sold. Initially, the game was restricted to England, but over a period of time, it moved to other countries too. The Federation Internationale de Football Association was founded in 1904. And the Foundation Act was signed by representatives from France, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. England and other British countries did not join FIFA from the start. They had invented the game and saw no reason to subordinate to an association. Still, they joined in the following year, but would not partake in the World Cup until 1950. Domestic leagues took root early and very soon they started thriving. Initially, there were no black players, but soon they too joined. Football became a part of the Olympics, and also the FIFA World Cup had its origin. These have created great enthusiasm in the spectators. The Americans had their own version of football, and hence they have a distinction between football and soccer. Today, the latest addition to the game of football is futsal, as it is called. This game is slowly gaining in popularity but can be no match as yet to the original game of football.
Let's read the text, my dear students. Sport in Great Britain. Sport lovers. Most people in Great Britain are real sport lovers. Even if they don't go in for sport, they like to talk about it. Kinds of sport. Perhaps you didn't know, but many kinds of sport have taken their origin in Great Britain. For example, cricket, football, rugby, tennis, table tennis, badminton, squash, canoeing, and snooker were invented in Britain. Football or soccer. Britain's national sport is football or soccer. It was played there as far back as medieval times. Nowadays, it has become the most popular game all over the world. Football clubs. There is no national football team in Great Britain. England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have their separate football clubs, which compete in European and World Cup matches. Football fans. English football fans are fond of most exciting games which are held between teams from the same city. For example, between Manchester United and Manchester City, Arsenal and Chelsea from London. Rugby. There is a certain type of football called rugby. The game is called so because it was originated at Rugby, a well-known English public school. Rugby. It is a game played by two teams of 15 players each. The game takes place on a field 100 meters long and 80 meters wide. There are goalposts at both ends of the field. Rugby is played with an oval or egg-shaped ball which can be carried by hands and kicked. The ball is passed from hand to hand in order to be thrown across the goal line. Violent game. It is a rather violent game. That's why the players must be big and strong. Another requirement for the players is to wear helmets, masks, and chest and shoulder padding. Golf. Golf is a game of business community. In Great Britain, it's very common to establish good business relations playing golf. The equipment for this game is quite expensive, as well as the entrance to a prestigious golf club, so not everyone can afford it. Golf is a ball and a golf stick game played on a natural field. In this game, one has to knock a ball into a hole. Tennis. Tennis is another favorite sport of the Englishmen. People all over the world know Wimbledon, which is the center of lawn tennis. Cricket. Cricket is a popular summer sport in Britain. There are many cricket clubs in the country. Certain uniform. Cricket players wear a certain uniform, white boots, a white t-shirt and white trousers. Cricket game. One cricket game takes a long time. There are two teams of 11 players each and test matches between national teams can last up to 5 days. Cricket. The spectators have to be very patient. The game is played on a field with a wicket at each end. The rules of the game have changed over the years. It's a game which is associated with long sunny summer afternoons, the smell of new mown grass, and the sound of leather ball beating the willow cricket bat. Cricket is more popular among men, but it's also played by women and girls. Popular sports. There are a lot of other popular sports in Great Britain. For example, horse racing, cricket, swimming, running, cycling, and rowing. My dear students, we finished to read our text. Let's do these exercises, please. Match the word with its descriptions. There I'll give you some words. You must find their descriptions. For example, tennis. Its description is it's played between 2 or 4 players with a small round ball and a racket. Last exercise is work with the text. You must find true or false. For example, sports doesn't play an important part in the life of the English people. My dear students, is it a true or false? Yes, of course, it's a false. Sports plays an important part in the life of the English people. My dear students, write your home task, please. At home, you must retelling the text about sport in Great Britain from the book Ayapola. My dear students, last is a reflection time about 5 fingers. Now you must say about them. 5 fingers. The first finger, difficulties during the lesson. Second finger, what do you like during the lesson? Third finger, say about your mood. Fourth finger, what do you do today? The last is the fifth finger, what do you learn today? The lesson is over. Thank you for this lesson. Goodbye, see you later.